thank you for joining us. We're very excited. And now I want to give over the time to our host for today, Mr. Sanjeevan, our dance teacher. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Sam.
Thank you, sir. Without waiting ahead, let's just start. A very good morning to all the students, teachers, educators, and artists. For all those who are new over here and who don't know us, we are the Performing Arts Department of the school. This year being the 16th year of our annual Art Fest, today we are over here to celebrate the first day of our Art Feast week, which will begin with a webinar on Western dance by Mr. Tushar Bhardwaj. We welcome you, sir. Before I give you a little brief introduction about Tushar, let me just put a little light on what is Art Fest. Art Fest is an intra-school performing arts event which is conducted to give a rich and unique experience to students for an overall growth in performing arts. It consists of competitions, performances, webinars, and workshops, which helps a child grow physically and mentally in the field of arts. This year, because of coronavirus, we plan to take this event online and put all our webinars on an international platform where anyone can come and join us. With a lot of love and support from the school, we have successfully managed this event till right now. Moving ahead, on speaker of the day, Mr. Tushar Bhardwaj. Tushar is a dancer choreographer from New Delhi, India. He has trained extensively in styles like jazz, hip hop, and contemporary dance styles at the Danceworx Performing Arts Academy, New Delhi, for over 8 years. He joined Rainbow Dance Theatre, USA in 2018 and worked for 3 seasons as a lead dancer. He has also collaborated with the Wales Contemporary Dance Company, Australian Dance Theatre, Avant-Garde Company Café, and Kibbutz Company, Contemporary Dance Company. As a teacher, Tushar has worked at the Danceworx Delhi Inspiration Dance Company in the USA and worked as a professor of dance at the Western Oregon University. He also got an opportunity to train under different renowned teachers at Broadway Dance Center, Playground, Millennium Dance Complex, Debbie Allen's Dance Company, and many more during his time in New York and Los Angeles. Currently, he is in India working on his new venture called DANCEASY. It's a platform that focuses and provides quality dance education and builds awareness about dance as a career. Its aim is to make dance education more accessible to dancers all over the country. From here, I pass on this session to Mr. Tushar. We welcome you, sir, once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you so much for this. Good morning, everybody. To all the educators, to all the students who are here to be a part of this. Thank you so much for making time and then, being a part of this today. It is a fairly new thing for me also to be a part of a webinar and sharing knowledge about dance on a platform which is not in person. So kindly do stay with me if I do tend to miss up a little bit. Yes, I've been dancing for almost 12 years now, and today what we're going to be basically talking about is Western dance and the history and the pioneers that molded the dance forms into something that we know today and what it is right now. So we're going to be diving a little bit into the history of it. So stay with me. Western dance is a huge category to, just put it in one go. So we're going to be focusing on 2 or 3 major styles of Western dance, partially also because I specialize in those, and I think it's fair on my part to educate you guys on something that I have the best interest in, and I know, and I have experience in. So, but yes, there are innumerable dance forms and dance styles that are a part of Western dance society, Western dance culture in general. So it's difficult to put all of that in 1 hour to, explain. It's going to be too much information. So I'm going to break that down. We're going to slowly get this in. I'm going to calm my nerves too. It's going to be fine. We're going to get into this. Yes. So one of the founding styles of Western dance that everybody talks about and is really crucial to the foundation of other dance forms as well is ballet. It is one of the classical styles of the Western world. Like we have classical styles in India, which focus on that are Bharatnatyam, which is a classical style, whether it's Kuchipudi, which is another one, or Kathak. So similar to that, we have ballet, which is the crux and the foundation of Western dance styles. Ballet originated basically in the 16th century, and it has its roots coming from Europe, mainly Italy in the beginning. And then, other than ballet, there is jazz that we will be speaking about today, and we will be speaking about pioneers, the people who molded these dance forms, brought it up, made it popular, and inspired generations of other dancers that took it up and brought it to the place that we are now in a habit of seeing on a day-to-day basis, especially because everything's online now. So everybody watches videos, whether you guys watch it on your Instagram stories, or you guys watch it on YouTube, or you go to steezy.com and you watch it, or you have online classes, or your educators that are conducting online classes. So what we know now stems from what has been developing over the past couple of centuries. And that's what we're going to try and look into now. It's going to be a little informative, but I'm going to try and not extend it too much. And I will constantly keep bringing in videos to support what it is that I'm talking to you guys about. So every time we do see a video, I would ideally love for you guys to connect the dots and see what it is that I was talking about and how the video justifies it, and obviously keep a track of all the things that happen around in the video as well, other than just steps. So there's a lot that goes into it. Yes. So I'm going to be starting off with ballet, and we will be starting off with this presentation that I made. Perfect. And so we start off with ballet, and ballet again originated in the Italian Renaissance courts, which is way back in the 15th century, and it was basically a dance form that originated for the elites, people from the general lifestyle, or you might call it just like regular people, did not really have access to styles of that sort, because it was basically meant for big events and celebrations, and people where all of the top people of the society were called in for, the royalties. And so that's where ballet started from, because in the 16th century, the queen, the wife of King Henry of France, began to fund ballet in the French court, which is basically giving a space for dancers to come and express, and what do you call it? Giving a platform to dancers to come and showcase whatever it is that they have and whatever it is that they've been developing over the couple of months or years that they've been practicing. So it was King Henry's wife who started it, but it was only a century later when King Louis helped popularize and standardize the art form. So King Louis was basically the one who really brought it out in, and to the masses, and brought it out to the people in general, and helped popularize it by helping them build the kind of shows that we do now, the hour-long productions, and opening it to the public so that the public gets a perspective of what it is that is really happening. So a lot of credit goes to King Louis for that, because he was the one who opened it up to the masses, which was earlier not an option. So so by 1661, a dance academy had opened in Paris, and in 1681, ballet moved from the courts and to the French ballet elements, creating a long-standing opera ballet tradition in France. So in France, when ballet started, ballet was not limited to just dance. mainly ballet also, what ballet also had was, um, what do you call it, opera with it. So people would usually go in to watch a show with ballet and ballet dance happening in the background as the opera singers were singing at the same time. And for the longest time, this was the tradition before the ballet community, the dancers community, they decided that, it is possible for us to sustain ourselves without having to rely on opera in general. So they discontinued the practice and they segregated the two out and focused on bringing productions of ballet in particular as a dance to the stage without having opera singers in the background or in the forefront. So what happened then was that it went from live singing and dancing happening in the background to just live music, and then showcasing the same talent and showcasing the same credibility, but minus the um, opera singing. So post that, in the early classical ballets such as Giselle and La Sylphide were created during the Romantic movement, the first half of the 19th century. This is basically the time when people would, when in ballet, people were talking about Romeo and Juliet, and everything that was happening was very romantic in a certain way. That's why you'll see most of the men being a little more showing a little more machismo, and women being a little more petite in their dance styles. So that's what the main um, idea behind creating productions at that point of time was. So when you see a you will realize and you will see how um, the men and the women were given a certain part to follow, and that is the kind of character that they could play. So this is also the period of time when dancing on the tips of the toes, known as point work, which most of us know now and is so common and is so expected from each dancer now, which was earlier not the case, because earlier it was a thing that was rarely practiced, but now it's a common thing. And then most ballerinas now need to know how to do point work because it's just one of those things. It's become so common now. So yes, so at that point of time, the point work became the form of something that each ballerina needed to know. A tutu, a calf length full skirt made of tulle was introduced as well, which basically set the bar for the attire that we now so closely relate with when we say ballet. So the popularity of ballet soared in Russia, and during the latter half of the 19th century, Russian choreographers and composers took it to the new heights. Marius Petipa's The Nutcracker. Nutcracker is one of the legendary pieces that happens every year around November and around Christmas time. And that's something that is reminiscent of the festivities and the festive season that comes in right at the end of the year in the Western world. And everybody knows it because um, every time November hits, all the dance companies, all the dance studios, all the dance academies outside, abroad, they start practicing the Nutcracker because they have a showcase coming up in the month of December where it's a big showcase. There are actors, there are dancers, there are, well, not singers, but the Nutcracker then happens, and it's sort of like a tradition now. So, but the starting point of that was not in the US, where it's now so widely used. It was more from Russia that it came along. So yes, the Nutcracker happened, and then Swan Lake came about. Swan Lake is one of the most legendary pieces that everybody knows about, and in the ballet world at least, or if you know anything about ballet, then you will definitely know what Swan Lake is if you have seen the movie that came out as well. So that's also one of the things. So classical ballet was represented majorly and in the most magnanimous way through these productions that are like the Sleeping Beauty, Swan Lake, Nutcracker, all of these styles. But again, keeping a track that these productions came about from Russia, although Italy was the one that started ballet, but it went to France and then it got, bigger and went huge. And then Russia was the one that started off with bringing in productions that are now so popular amongst all of the ballet dancers. So the main purpose was to display classical technique, point work, high extensions, precision of movement, and turnout. Turnout is again the outward rotation of the legs from the hips. So you turn your feet out through your hips, and that's what a turnout basically is. So to showcase all of these qualities to the fullest and in very complex sequences, to show that the choreography is really complex and very demanding at the same time. They also included a lot of turns, a lot of jumps, a lot of leaps, and that basically set the tone for all the productions that were going to come about later, because that became the base of what ballet productions need to have. Whether it is a soloist, whether it is a male soloist or a female soloist, them showcasing their technicality, their strength, their stamina, the ability to turn, the ability to jump high, the ability to do partner work. So that became the crux of all the dance productions that are now so common everywhere that you go. So that's how it started, and that's what the main focus of that was. So, however, it always starts somewhere, and it always there are always some people who stand out in some way or form or the other, and those are the ones that genuinely mold dance into um the lovely thing that we see these days, and the amazing thing that we adore so much and love to do. There are always a couple of people that are either in the background working really hard, or in the forefront showcasing it to the world. So the first person that really helped ballet um, take a giant leap towards popularity and towards bringing it out to the masses and getting people to get hooked onto it was Anna Pavlova. Now, Anna Pavlova was a Russian prima ballerina during the 19th century, and is considered even today as one of the world's most famous dancers. And if you ever go to a ballet class, and if you ever are working with your ballet teacher, and this is for the ladies, and when you're trying to talk to them about a knowledgeable teacher about who are some of the best female ballet dancers that have come about, Anna Pavlova happens to be one of those names that is at the top of it. Was Anna Pavlova the best technical dancer that you could see? Possibly not, because the generation where she was dancing is completely different from how ballet developed later and the later generations came about. So the later generations were obviously a lot more technical, a lot more expansive in the way they danced, and they had a lot more tricks up their sleeves. They had a lot better physicality to put out on stage. So would you say that Anna Pavlova was the best dancer ever? Maybe not, because things were still developing at that point of time when she was dancing. But would you say that she is one of the dancers that really brought it out? Definitely. So when she was recognized in the 20th century, when she created her own company by the role of Dying Swan as a ballet dancer. So back to dance, she also stated that you should always do the kind of dancing which brings out your own rare qualities, instead of trying to win praise by mere acrobatic tricks. Well, then now we know why she didn't do tricks. So that was that was one of the things about Anna Pavlova. Her quality of movement was so precise and so pristine that it was difficult on anybody's part to take away the credit from her side in bringing about dance the way it is. And that's why there is absolutely, like, no doubt in anybody's mind that Anna was one of the top-notch dancers, and even till today she's counted amongst the top 10 at all points of time. Not just that statement, but she gained the fame since her first performance in 1899 in Mariinsky Theater in St. Petersburg. So Mariinsky Theater is one of the biggest theaters for dance, for ballet. And it is more or less on the same stature as a Bolshoi. And now Bolshoi happens to be one of the biggest companies that you can ever come across. So Bolshoi and Mariinsky were more or less in the same time. So for her to be a prima ballerina and to bring out and to perform and to showcase her company work at Mariinsky Theater is one of the biggest things that she could do. So you can clearly understand how big a person as a dancer she was, based on just her achievements and accolades that she gathered over the over the years that she was dancing. Um, yeah, so she became a professional ballet choreographer and a perfect signature for dancers. So that's one of those things. There are videos of Anna Pavlova dancing, and there are videos, but because it was based in such a time, the videos you might see might not be the best quality. So I really tried hard to bring it out here, to put it out so that you guys could see it, but the quality is such that it is just not possible to make out what's happening in some of the videos. But I'm sure that, like, in the next couple of slides, when we work on other dancers and when we talk about other dancers, uh, there will be videos for you to see. So you will be a little more engrossed in those videos at that point of time. So this was Anna Pavlova, and she's considered to be one of the pioneers of ballet dance for women. And the next person that I'm going to be speaking about is a fantastic, fantastic dancer. His name is Rudolf Nureyev, and he is considered to be one of the top ballet dancers of the 18th and the 19th century. And he is, well, actually the 19th century, not 18th. And he is considered to be on the same stature again as a Mikhail Baryshnikov. Now, if anybody here has ever done ballet, they will definitely know about a person by the name Mikhail Baryshnikov, because he gets so many accolades for the kind of dancer that he was, and the kind of achievements that he had gotten. And everybody gets so mesmerized by the idea of talking about Mikhail Baryshnikov that somehow, somewhere down the lines, people tend to forget that there, at some point of time, there was a Rudolf Nureyev, and he was the person who basically set the tone for all the male ballet dancers all around the world. And he was the kind of person, I will just put this up. He was the kind of person who had gained so much popularity and fame through dance that at one point of time, he was considered to be as famous as the Beatles, but only the dance world. So he had fans all over the world. He had fans wherever he went to perform, whether it was Europe, whether it was Asia, whether it was the Americas, whether North or South, any place, any and every place that he went to perform at, people knew about him, and people were, um, they were just crazy about him as a dancer, as a performer. To a point where he was, to a certain degree, he was a bad boy of ballet, because he broke a lot of norms and of the society to bring about awareness about how men can do ballet as well. And men are not just there to support women when they're turning, or not just to be a tree in the background. So Rudolph really set the tone for all the male ballet dancers, and he brought about this flair that talked about how it is something that the world is missing out on watching male ballet dancers. He was so Rudolph was a Soviet-born ballet dancer. He was born in Russia, and whose suspended leaps and fast turns were often compared to Balav Nijinsky's legendary feats. Now, Balav Nijinsky is another dancer who is known for being one of the top people in the world of ballet. But this was before Rudolph came about, and before he, changed the entire concept of what ballet is for men. So he was a flamboyant performer and a charismatic celebrity who revived the prominence of male ballet roles and significantly widened the audience for ballet. If you were to see his videos of him dancing, there was a small documentary that came about, and I had the opportunity to see it a couple of years ago, and it showcased not just his dance, it showcased the snippets of him going in and out of the theater before and after the show, and the kind of response that he would get from the audience for what he did on stage. So his fan following was huge, and his technicality was amongst the top 2 or 3 ballet dancers that you could ever see. But then again, Mikhail Baryshnikov came and he overtook, and he brought it to a whole new level. And then everybody just went gaga over Mikhail Baryshnikov. And Rudolph kind of took a back seat at that point of time, and then things kind of got a little mellow on his part. But when you see a Rudolph dance on stage, you will realize and you will understand how amazingly brilliant he is as a dancer. So also, Rudolf Nureyev, he was also well known for being the partner of Dame Margaret Fonteines. And Dame Margaret Fonteine is a brilliant, brilliant dancer, and she was very popular during a certain point of time as Rudolph was. And so their pairing was known to be a legendary one in a certain sort of way. So people knew uh, Rudolph in the primary years. People knew him because he was a partner of uh, Margaret, but then later it was him that took over. And of course, he has interpreted roles in Albrecht in Giselle, Armand in Margaret and Armand, and Prince Siegfried in Sondik. So he's done all of these major roles that one can possibly do. And definitely a very popular figure and a guest artist in companies around the world. That's one of those things that was about him that was so different, was the fact that he did not stay with one company for too long. So he did not have a residency in a certain company for years and decades like most people would. He would take small contracts to work with companies, and then he would move and he would travel the world and he would work in different companies all around the world. So I'm just going to share a quick snippet of him dancing. And I just want you guys to observe the technicality. And of course, uh, Margaret is in the video as well. You will see them both dance together also. So this is one of the videos that I saw. You guys should totally watch it. It is amazing. Okay, so that was what I was exactly talking to you about. Ballet emphasizes on a lot of technicality and a lot of showcasing of that technicality, whether it is the point work that you saw while doing the fouette turns, whether it was the leaps and the jumps that you saw Rudolph do in the video. So one of the reasons why he was also so magnanimous was because he had a sound control over each of the things that he had learned, and his technique was impeccable, and it was something that people just admired him for. So that was that for jazz. So now we're gonna for ballet, we're gonna now quickly move to jazz, because that's like the next dance style that we're going to be talking about, dance form that we're going to be talking about. Jazz, again, jazz in itself is such a big world that it's difficult to just say that jazz is a particular thing, because jazz has a lot of variants in it, and then jazz started off as a different thing, and then over the years it you know metamorphosized in a certain way, you might call it. It developed, and then we know jazz the way it is now. So we're going to go a little bit down into the history of jazz, and the history was not I wouldn't call it the best, simply because the history involved uh, it being a part of the system of slavery, which was in the United States. So the dance is an experimental, free form, and fluid as jazz the music, and it's fusion. It is a fusion. It is inventive. It is exuberant, and just like the jazz music, jazz dance is uniquely an American art form with influences from everywhere. And this statement cannot be any more accurate, because um, there are so many influences that jazz has taken from different places, that it's difficult to put it in one perspective and say that, hey, this is jazz and that's what it was. The origins of jazz music and jazz dance are found in the rhythm and the movement brought to America by the African slaves, and that's the I wouldn't call it the sad part, because we have jazz and I'm really happy, but this is the place that it started at. And the style of African dance is earthy. It is very grounded. It has a lot to do with the bending of the knees, the stomping of the feet, and pulsating body movements. A lot of isolations, a lot of emphasis that is put in, hand clapping and foot stomping. So that's where the base of jazz came about, was through African dance. And then as it went around the world, it started gaining a lot of different perspectives, and those people started incorporating those things into what was already an amazing style of movement that was brought about by the Africans to the United States. The growth of jazz dance was directly influenced by the musical genre. In 1923, the Charleston was introduced, and Americans were quick to adopt it. In the Charleston, dances used body isolations for the first time in a social dance. The hand clapping again and the foot stomping that it incorporated were a direct link to the African origin. So as the African people went to the US, they developed their own kind of movement, simply because those people were brought about to the US from different countries in Africa. And Africa has a rich diversity of dance in each country that people come from. So because there were only like a certain group of people that were brought from different countries, put together, and then taken to the US, it was a thing where a lot of different styles were put together, because people from different countries in Africa used to practice dance together. So they used to get influenced by another country's movement, quality, and style, and then they would merge it together. And then they came about with a movement, quality, and style of their own, which was truly unique. And it was so unique to a point where even the people, even the Native Americans, the whites, as you might call it, it's not the best term to say it, but they were really impressed with the quality of movement that the dancers had, the African dancers had, and they wanted to be a part of it, and they wanted to acclimatize themselves to it because the movement quality was so rich and it was so diverse, and it was something that they had never seen before. And so they took to it, and then that's how jazz gained its prominence. So to a certain point where in the initial years, jazz was also considered an urban dance style, which now it's not. It's not called a style now. Jazz is not a style. Jazz is a dance form because it has technicalities to it. It has technical names for each of the steps that you do. It has borrowed certain things from ballet that it uses as an everyday part of it, to train dancers. So starting from a very small point where just a bunch of African dancers were dancing together, it has now evolved into something that is so technically challenging and so advanced that dancers, if they do not train in it, it's very difficult for them to grasp it. So from being a very average, non-practicing dance style to a highly technical, skilled, dance form, jazz has had a very long journey to travel, and it has only developed. It has uh, influenced the likes of the likes of styles of dance like Lindy Hop, which is a beautiful dance style if you've ever seen it, to perform, and a lot of social ballroom dance styles also like the tango, and all of these come from jazz because the movement was originated in the same place. So when you see the people, you will see uh, when you see the videos of the older dances, you will realize that jazz in itself was so diverse. Even tap dance came from it, and then took a whole different meaning of itself and moved out in a certain, in a completely different league of its own. Where now, if you wish to learn dance at a very early age, there are three dance forms that are told for everybody to learn, and that is ballet, tap, and jazz. And these are the three styles that will help you set the foundation for you as an dancer, and then help you develop better as you progress with other styles and you learn. So I just have a quick video that I would want you guys to see. And this incorporates whatever it is that I've told you right now about jazz in particular. So I'm just going to play it. And okay, so this is going to be a little long. It's going to be approximately 5 minutes. So bear with me on this, and you're going to have a lot of fun, trust me.
Let me dig this jive once more, boy. Right on down to the gator. Oh, boy. Gotta dig my little gator. Now can't you hear those hep cats call? Come on, boys, let's have a ball. The jim jam jump it, the jumping jive makes you dig your jive on the mellow side. Hep hep. Hip hip. The jim jam jump is a silent jive, makes you 9 foot tall when you're 4'5". Hip hip. Hip hip. Now don't you be that inkaroo, get hip, come on, and then you follow through. You get your study full, you make up the jaunty jump like the gators do. Jim jam jump is a jumping jive, makes you like your eggs on the Jersey side. Hip hip. Hip hip. The jim jam jumping jive makes you hep hep on the Mahala side. Boodly 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 biddly bumpity goodly giddly bang 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 da da. Now I've told you about the jumping jive. Jim jam jump the jumping jive. You got to dig this mellow jive. Yes, yes, you're digging on the mellow side. A boodly 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 boy. A boodly boodly boy. A biddly biddly gay. Boodly giddly bumpity gaga. A boodly time boy. Going to gaga and the bomb bomb was eating at the pot.
So yes, my legs are kind of feeling the pain already after watching him do so many of those splits. But yes, that's one of the things that was so amazing about jazz and during the early 50s and the 60s was that the musicality was so intense in their choreographic routines, and the technicality is so high. Even now, of course, the technicality is really high, but it's just one of that charm of that era that it had, and how it developed from there is something that is that I really relate with, and that's something that the kind of that's also something that I love doing as a dancer myself. So yes, so it incorporated everything from the foot tapping, the tap dance, the stomping of the feet, the clapping of the hands, the use of technicality, the turns, the musicality, the syncopation, and body lines, of course. And lines are something that are so important for you to have as a dancer, that the shape and the structure is something that you need to be able to maintain when you're dancing, so that your steps look clean and they don't look like they're just being rushed. So yeah, so moving from there, I'm just going to talk about really quick about Jack Cole. Jack Cole happens to be one of the pioneers of jazz dance. He was actually known as the guy who literally invented the term theatrical jazz dance. And Jack Cole is was born in the U.S. In New York City, and his career spanned three arenas, which was basically the nightclub, the Broadway stage, which is in New York, of course, and Hollywood movies. So, as after finishing up with his dance education, he worked with companies. He worked with musical productions at Broadway in general, and then post that he moved to working with actors and with dancers in Hollywood, and became a dance coach. So he basically developed a mode of jazz ethnic ballet that prevails in the dominant dancing style in today's musicals and films and nightclub reviews and television commercials and music videos. He was basically the one who revolutionized jazz dance and brought about a certain flair to the style, and popularized it by adding influences from other styles as well. So he was a he has worked with some of the biggest stars of that time, and one of them being, of course, Marilyn Monroe, because he had choreographed Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friends from the movie Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and it is one of the most iconic jazz dance sequences that you can ever see, and is still regarded as one of the finest works of jazz dance, and is tried by so many different dance companies to use and make a dance cover, and use that in their productions, or just as a promotional, uh, you know, um, for a promotional show. I myself, as a dancer, have tried being, a complete fanboy for Jack Cole, and then trying out each of his choreographies, especially, of course, because my mentor, herself, had tried uh, taking me in for the choreography. Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friends, but I was not as technically trained as I should have been at that point of time, so I was cut. But that piece was something that I have wanted to do ever since, and I did get an opportunity eventually to do it, and it's one of the toughest choreographies that you can do as jazz dance, simply because not just because the steps are difficult, but because the elements of music are so detailed when you're dancing, that and the fact that you have to maintain character, you have to hold on to musicality, you have to dance, you have to travel. It's one of the pieces that every jazz dancer would love to be a part of, and he was the main choreographer for it. Of course, his style is something that you would see in the works of Bob Fosse. Bob Fosse is also one of the people that who is known to be a pioneer of dance, of jazz dance in particular. Uh, but all of Bob Fosse's work that you'd see, Jerome Robbins or Grover Champion or Alvin Ailey for that matter, we're probably going to see Alvin Ailey in the next slide as well. All of their works have something or the other that is reminiscent of Jack Cole's work. And Jack Cole had a very distinguished way of moving, because he had developed his own style and his own niche, which was quite popular at that point of time, and a lot of people tried getting inspiration from it, whether it was also to a point where Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire had certain movement qualities going on for them that were very similar, or more or less on the same bracket as Jack Cole. So I'm just gonna quickly show you a quick sequence of Jack Cole dancing, and this was a piece that he had choreographed himself. This one's not too long, so. So Jack Cole's choreography, the one that you just saw, if you see this again, as when you do get the time to obviously go over his work, you will see elements of um, dance styles that have been taken and put into his own style of jazz into it. So you will see elements of ballet, because the technicality is so high, but even when they're turning, the pointing of the feet, the jumps, everything. Uh, and you will also see elements of swing dance in it, especially during their partner work. And all of these things, when he tried working with them together, that's how he developed his own style, you know, uh, which was so popular. And of course, he has elements of tap in it as well, and that's something that again is the foundation of how jazz came about and how it developed into what we know jazz as today. So we're just going to quickly move from jazz to modern. And when I say modern, there are only a few names that come into my mind, and one of them happens to be Alvin Ailey. Alvin Ailey was an African American choreographer activist who founded the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. It is one of the biggest dance companies in the world that you can think of, that tours and travels and puts up productions almost every year, and happens to be a dream destination for most dancers that wish to get to a place to learn amazing modern dance. He has also founded the Ailey School in New York City. As a teen, Alvin Ailey studied with renowned dancer, choreographer, and teacher Lester Horton. Lester Horton happens to be one of the people who came up with his own movement quality and developed his own technique and his own style to a point where it was trademarked to help dancers train better, to develop their bodies better. So Alvin Ailey had worked and studied, with uh, Lester Horton. And after 3 years of performing and training with Lester Horton and his dancers, Ailey became a choreographer. And later, ultimately, after Lester Horton's demise, he became the director of the company. So he performed in various stage productions and studied acting with Stella Adler and danced with Martha Graham. So yes, so he is on the same stature as Martha Graham, but Martha Graham is known more for her choreographic work and her dance, and he is more known for his dance and his the things that he brought to the production aspect of making shows. So Martha Graham and Alvin Ailey have been on the same stage at some point of time or the other. So yes, that is how deep his legacy goes. In 1958, Ailey formed his own dance company, the Alvin Ailey Dance American Dance Theater, composed primarily of African American dancers that toured extensively both in the United States and abroad. So, in addition to works by Ailey, the company performed the works by several pioneer choreographers, including, again, Lester Horton and Catherine Dunham. So, all of these names that you hear right now, they are people that have revolutionized modern dance. And now, if you ever talk to people about modern dance in general, they will tell you that there are a few people that have revolutionized it in a way which is beyond anybody's expectations. So when you say that you want to learn modern dance, there are categories to modern dance because there are different people that have developed their own technique to help dancers learn better. One of them is Martha Graham. Then there is Merce Cunningham, Catherine Dunham, Lester Horton, and Limon. So and of course, the latest is developed by the artistic director of Batsheva Dance Company. His name is Fohad Naharin. So he came up with his own dance technique called the Gaga technique. So that has also been added now to this already magnificent repertoire of techniques and styles that you will learn. So when you do go to a modern class, you cannot just go in and be like, I want to learn modern, because people will ask you what type of modern do you want to learn or what type contemporary do you want to learn. So Alvin Ailey is one of those people that has worked with all of these legends, and he has put up productions and he has put up shows all over the world that have received accolades for years and years. And even now the Alvin Ailey company is still thriving, and it is very, very difficult to crack auditions to be a part of that company. But dancers line up every year. I've had so many of my friends who've been wanting to be a part of it and who've applied for it. And I know one of my seniors who got into the junior company, Ailey 2, but he could not get a hold of Ailey 1 because it's just so difficult to crack. And dancers dance their entire life, starting at the age of 3 or 4, and they dance up to the age of 15 or 18 before they can even think about auditioning. So it's a very hard task, but at the same time, that's how the level of dance is kept at such a high level. So this happens to be what I'm going to be playing right now. This happens to be a video of an excerpt, a small part of this production called Revelations. That is one of the most popular productions by Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater Company. So if ever you talk about Alvin Ailey to anybody, they will talk to you about Revelations. So just a quick look at it, have a look and see how it is that dancers really work in that sort of an environment, and what kind of quality of movement it is that they possess.
won't you hide me? Run to the sea. Sea, won't you hide me? Run to the sea. Sea, won't you hide me all of that day? Lord, won't you hide me? Lord, won't you hide me? Lord, won't you hide me all of that day? My soul is full of
So yeah, so that's what Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater is all about. Not just that, actually, there are a lot of other productions that you will see which have a completely different way of moving. But if you saw the video and you saw the dancers, they had a distinct style of movement with their arms and the positioning, especially when they're turning, when they're jumping. All of those arm positions were something that are a major part of what Lester Horton used to teach, and his teaching style uh, incorporates a lot of that movement and the positioning of those arms. So that influence of Lester Horton is clearly visible in each of the productions that you see of Alvin Ailey, company that they come about each year. So yeah, so if you ever train in modern styles and you learn a technique called Horton technique, you will firstly realize how difficult it is and how tough it is on the body. But other than that, of course, you will be able to connect the dots and you will be able to see and better visualize what it is that you're learning and how it is that you're developing, and what is it the ultimate goal that you really want to look like when you gather enough information and training over the couple of years that you train, as in when you do. So yeah, so if you ever do train in that, then definitely look up videos of Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, and it's one of the best videos that you can see. Whatever production that you might get to see, it'll be amazing. It'll be mind blowing. Which brings me to, of course, the next person, which is the last person that I'm going to be talking to you about, and I'll get the best for last because this person is she just revolutionized the entire dance scene for modern dancers, and the kind of accolades that she's gotten all around the world is something that is enviable, but at the same time so inspiring, and you'll be in awe. And I made sure that I wrote down everything in the slide so that you get to really see and understand what stature is it that Martha Graham holds in the world of dance and how important she is as a figure. So Martha Graham is recognized as a primal artistic force of the 20th century alongside Picasso, James Joyce, Stravinsky, and Frank Lloyd Wright. So all of these people in the art industry are legends in their own rights. And for Martha Graham to be put on the same pedestal as them speaks volumes of how incredibly talented Martha Graham was. Time magazine named Martha Graham Dancer of the Century, and People magazine named her among the female icons of the century. As a choreographer, she was as prolific as she was complex. Martha created 181 ballets and dance techniques that have been compared to ballet in its scope and magnitude. Her approach to dance and theater revolutionized art forms, and her innovative physical vocabulary has irrevocably influenced dance worldwide. In 1926, Martha Graham founded her own company and school, and living and working out of a tiny Carnegie Hall studio in Midtown Manhattan. In developing her technique, Martha Graham experimented endlessly with basic contraction and release. Using these principles as the foundation for her technique, she built a vocabulary of movement that would increase the emotional activity of the dancer's body. The whole concept of contraction and release is is so widely used now in the world of dance that it's impossible for anybody to, pinpoint where it actually originated from, because it's so widely used. But Martha Graham was one of the few people who was one of the people actually who was the only people who came about and brought it out and used it so extensively that it just became a part of her own movement style. And to a point where it was so popular that everybody started using it. And it is till date used in every modern or contemporary, or even for that matter, a jazz class, as you might see. So, yes, the choreography exposed the depth of human emotion through movements that were sharp, angular, jagged, and direct. The dance world was forever altered by Martha Graham's vision, which has been and continues to be a source of inspiration for generations of dancers, dance and theater artists as well. So this is yeah, this is what I was talking about. I'm just going to move this window to the side so that I can read it. Her company was the training ground for many future modern choreographers, and these names that I'm going to take are huge in the dance industry. Merce Cunningham, who developed his own technique later, called the Cunningham technique. Paul Taylor from Paul Taylor Theatre Company, which is another one of the biggest companies of dance that you would see, and Paul Taylor and Twyla Tharp. So she created roles for classical ballet stars such as Margaret Fonteyn, and we've already seen her dance. Rudolf Nureyev. So you now know exactly where Martha stands, because she was training Rudolf and setting her creations on him. And Mikhail Baryshnikov. So she has trained generations of dancers and generations of superstars in the world of dance that are big in their own way, and the world knows about them. In 1976, President Gerald R. Ford bestowed upon Martha Graham the United States' highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and declared her a national treasure, making her the first dancer and choreographer to receive this honor. Another presidential honor was awarded to Martha Graham in 1985 when President Ronald Reagan designated her among the first recipients of the United States National Medal of Arts. So if you have any doubts at any point of time, or confusion as to what should you start with when you're starting your dance career, training, classes, whatever you may call it, even if it is for recreational purposes and you want to learn modern, you want to learn contemporary of sort, rest assured, do not think about anything else. Just go in for a class that teaches Martha Graham's technique, and you will be sorted and you will be taken care of. So I have 10 more minutes, and I'm going to quickly play this last video. And after that, I'm going to just request Mr. Emmanuel or Mr. Sam to just come back and have a word with me, just so that in case we have any questions, we can take those questions in those 10 minutes. Yes. So just like this last video. I would give anything to be on stage, but right now we just can't. So that was it for the presentation and for everything that I had to share from on my part. I'm surprised that I actually managed to squeeze this all in an hour and a half. But again, this is just me scratching the surface of dance. There is so much more to it. I really wanted to include other styles as well, but of course, there is always another day for it. There's always another time for it. I do have, I'm going to stop sharing this, and I do have Mr. Sam who's back with us.
Yes, yes, Tushar. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for this beautiful session and very informative. Yes. And I will say to all the students, like, that this is also important. Like, definitely we do go in our classes and we physically train ourselves. But what about training mentally? What about getting the knowledge behind, the art which we are studying in the classes? So this is equally important. And I have seen a lot of dancers who know the forms but don't know exactly the history and the pioneers behind the form, and when you ask them and they're like blank, so I'll strongly suggest to all the students, artists, educators, whosoever is learning dance, sessions like this, workshops like this, webinars like this, it's equally important, because this gives you a whole lot of different perspective regarding the art, regarding the form which you are learning, and it gives a new meaning when you come, when you actually go out there and you learn that form or that step or that dance, anything, most of the times we do very simple stuff and we are like, why it is done like that? Yeah, just because we don't know the person who made this, he was like back in the era and he discovered it, and he brought out this step, and that's why how and why we are doing it today. Yeah, it can be modified, definitely, which is happening in today's time, but definitely what is been made, let's keep it like that and then move ahead with that, and I think Tushar will agree with this on me. Absolutely. Yes. Emmanuel, sir, if you have anything.
And now you have to do.
Yes, thank you, Tushar. That was fun, especially as a non-dancer. That was very creative, very interesting, and it kind of inspires me also, though it scares me a bit. But I'm sure many people here learned a lot, and we have some questions. We have one question actually. There's an anonymous attendee asking, "What is the difference between ballet and Graham technique?" Yeah.
Okay, so the first and the biggest difference would be the forms. So Graham, as Martha Graham, as a person, developed her own movement style, which in which she focused on developing the dancer's body. So when you're training in her style, your body is going to develop in a certain way. The technical aspects are going to be taken care of, which includes pointing of the feet, arm positioning of arms, presentation of the body, awareness in terms of movement, your body being fluid and nimble. So all of that is something that Martha Graham as a person has come up with. So it's her own personal style that and training technique that she has come up with. Ballet, on the other hand, is a form of dance. And when I say form, I mean each thing that you do in ballet has a name for it, has a name behind it, has a technical aspect behind it, to a point where there is a whole dictionary for ballet from A to Z that has each word, and each word is in French. So you have to learn each of those words and understand the meaning of it, read through it, and then apply it. So it's to put it in simple terms, it is like literature and mathematics. So ballet being mathematics that has a step to each thing that you need to do in order to get your result, and you miss one step and most of your technique is going to take a beating for it. Whereas literature is something that comes from within. It's something that is more of art in either poetry or in plays that you see. So which comes from within, which has its structure, which has its storyline, which has everything. But at the same time, it's something that is not really rigid in a certain way. So if you see Martha Graham's work, you will realize that all of that comes from basic knowledge and understanding of what dance is. And the ballet, on the other hand, is a technical form that you need to learn with each, technicality of it, starting from a basic plie, which is a bending of the knee, even starting from a simple thing like that. So yes, ballet is a form. Martha Graham has her own technique. So these are two different things. That goes.
Thank you, Tushar. Thank you, sir. So we've got two more questions. Is from Inaya Midha, is flexibility included in jazz? And we have one more after that.
Sorry, could you repeat the question, sir?
Yeah.
Is flexibility included in jazz?
Oh yes, it is. It is. Flexibility is something that in each of the dance styles of form that you learn, flexibility is highly important, and it is definitely something that is taught to dancers simply because the range of motion, the movement, everything becomes better, and of course there are lesser chances of you getting injured once you understand your own body. So flexibility, yes, everybody in each of the styles, whether it is jazz, contemporary, ballet, hip hop, popping, locking, anything that you do have basic warm up, you do have stretching, you do have to become flexible for it. However, it is something that the one thing that I've learned from my mentors is to always educate dancers about the fact that flexibility is not dance. Flexibility is a part of dance. So don't get stuck on the idea that my leg is not touching the ceiling, so I'm not a good dancer. I know this might sound like a defense mechanism to cope with, be like, I'm fine, okay, but yes, flexibility is important, but that's for your benefit so that you understand a range of motion and you have more things to do as a dancer. But is it the only thing that you need to have in dance? Not really. But yes, in jazz, you definitely learn flexibility and how to become.
Great. Thank you, Tushar. Now I feel relieved that I can't scratch my ear with my foot. Okay, two more questions. Do you feel that if you want to take dance professionally, you need to do ballet? If yes, then why?
Depends entirely on what stream of dance you wish to get into professionally. If you're looking to get into a classical style, yes, ballet is utmost important. If you're planning to get into a company and work as a jazz dancer, yes, ballet is important. If you want to become a modern contemporary dancer, then yes, ballet is important. And the reason why I say ballet is important is because, like I said, ballet has each, as a form, has words and technicalities for each of the things that you do. So in order for you to become a good dancer, you need to be able to structure your body first and know the ins and outs of your body and how you move it before you actually start to move it. So if for example, if I've never seen a pizza in my life and somebody says, go give me a pizza, I will never know what pizza looks like and I will never know what to pick up. So it's the same thing with the body. If I don't know what a certain thing is and how to do it, then I will never be able to do it. So ballet helps you get that foundation right so that you can develop yourself and build yourself physically. And that for most dance styles is very important. However, if you go into the hip hop aspect of it and you try and get into that side, I doubt if ballet is highly important for them. I doubt it's not that important in that stream because the movement quality is completely different. Then they have their own set of principles that they work on. So when you do contemporary jazz, ballet is very important. Theater, yes. If you want to be a big dancer on any of the big stages in Broadway in New York, yes, you will not be able to survive without ballet. So yeah, that is one of the primary reasons you should know ballet.
Brilliant answers. I got four more questions. What inspired you to start dancing and then taking it up professionally?
Okay, so I have always been a very shy person. I never really had the confidence to break out of my shell. But one time we had a small dance competition in our school and I participated in it. Uh, the lead dancer got injured, so I had to be replaced and I became the lead dancer for it. Long story short, we won the competition and that gave me the confidence, right? This was in 10th grade. Come to 12th grade, my board exams came and uh, post December, I quit all of the physical activities that we used to do in school, in sports, athletics, volleyball, all of the teams that I was a part of. I stopped doing it. I gained a lot of weight and I wanted to shed it. So I joined a dance class. But my teachers were very nice and they were kind. Once I got into shape, they pushed me into scholarship. They said you should try for scholarship, and I did. And eventually, when I started training every day, 4 hours a day, that's when I really got to know that yes, it is something that I'm interested in being a part of and would love to take it up professionally. And that's how, after training for 3.5 years, I finally decided that I'm going to finish my education, my degree in college, get my bachelor's degree, and then continue with dance full time. So that's how I got into it. That's what inspired me. The whole idea of training every day for like 4 hours a day minimum is something that inspired me because I got a gist of what dance really is. And of course, that's the only way you know.
Yes, thank you for pointing out the time frames and the hours needed for practice. Some of these kids are starting dance in class 6. You start in class 10. So maybe some of them think it's too late or whatever, but class is, it's never late.
My formal dance training started when I was 16 and a half. 16 and a half is when most gymnasts retire. So, if you are starting in the 6th grade, I would highly suggest that you continue throughout school and do not give up on it. And then later you can decide whether you want to take it up professionally or not. But that kind of training is super important, and you're lucky that you're starting that early. We had no idea. For the longest time, the company that I was in, working in, not for the longest time really, but before I joined that company, I thought that the director, the name of the director, I thought that there were two people. Like how like Nadeem Shravan as the music duo, or Jatin Lalit as the music duo. I thought Ashley Lobo were two different people, but that wasn't the case. So you're still way more educated than I am, so you're in a better space.
Thank you. Wow, that's great. Some more questions. So I'll put two together. Can hip hop also include flexibility? Is ballet important for learning contemporary dance?
Yeah. So I've already covered the contemporary aspect of it. That if you wish to learn contemporary, do you need to know a bit of ballet? Yes, you need to know a little bit of ballet, because even in contemporary, there are certain technicalities that are included, which come from ballet. So it is great if you can, I'm not saying be like prolific at ballet. I'm saying just be proficient at, like, you should be efficient enough to like know what is what, so that in case when you step into a contemporary class, you know your ins and outs, and how to figure out what's actually really happening inside the classroom. So yes, it is important to know ballet, but is it important for you to be like amazingly prolific at it? No, you just need to know your basics. But yes, of course, in hip hop, for the second question, flexibility is important, because again, in hip hop, there are a range of motions that you need to do, and to do that, your body needs to be fit enough to attempt those steps. Otherwise, you will always feel a little left out in a certain way. I know I did for the longest time, but then I conquered it, and then I lost it, and then I conquered it again. But it's just one of those things. So flexibility, of course, as a dancer, know for sure that your flexibility is important, and it will come into play at some point of time or the other.
Great. 3 more questions. This is on Dhruvika Saini. Is ballet the root of other dance forms?
Is ballet the root of all dance forms?
Other dance forms.
Other dance forms.
That's a very big statement. I'll be banished from the dance society. If I were to say yes, I'll be banned.
Not a root, but
No, I don't think ballet is the son of the dances universe. It's not. It is not. But is it one of the most important things in life? Yes, it is. Is it the most important thing? No, it's not. You can achieve a lot in other dance forms without doing ballet, because a lot of other people have. So it's doable.
Absolutely.
Okay, 2 more questions. Do you think technique is the most important factor for a dancer?
Yes, it is. If you do not have technique, so see, the thing is that when people say technique, a lot of people think about, technique means my legs need to be straight, or my legs need to be high, or my body needs to be straight. Technique is not just that. Technique is basically foundation. Foundation can be either in terms of the structure of the body, or training, or it can be in the foundation of the steps that you do in any of the dance forms style that you learn. So technique is very important, whether you're doing jazz and you need to show lines, or whether you're doing dance hall and you need to show musicality. So musicality in itself while dancing is a technicality. And if you miss out on musicality, then yeah, like you might as well put the music out and then just, dance without music. So technicality is a big term, and it has everything from movement, groove, physicality, and awareness. So yes, technicality in any and every style that you do is super important.
All right, thank you. That's very important. Good question so far.
Yeah.
Is it possible to learn ballet at the age of 14, 15 for a contemporary dancer?
Absolutely. Like, yes, you can just step into a ballet class, a beginner's ballet class, and learn. You're 14, not like 84. You're fine. You can learn. You can learn till about the age of, I don't know, till whatever your body permits you to. So learning is something that goes on forever. I had a teacher by the name Marion who came from Germany. She was 68, and she could jump higher than some of the dancers in the studio, and that's something that comes from practice. And she's been dancing since the age of 5 or something. So 5 to 68, you can do the math. I'm terrible at it, but she's been doing it. And so yeah, if you're 13, 14, 15, definitely it's the best place. Like, just dive into it and start learning it.
Tushar, I just remember about the John Freeman coming in. I was like,
oh yes,
oh my God, that guy.
Oh yes. John Freeman,
yeah.
legendary person who came into the company and worked with the company that both of us were part of. But at that point of time, I was a novice. I was nowhere, and then by then, Sam sir was already in the company.
We saw him for the first time, and we were like, he's gonna dance, okay? Yeah. Let's see. And literally, we were like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so I think this is a follow-up question. I don't know the context.
Right.
But you think it is the most important fact? So whoever you are, please quickly.
This is. I think this one is referring to jazz and gymnastics.
Is jazz and gymnastics connected? Okay, I don't know if it's connected. Is jazz and gymnastics connected?
Do you think technique? Okay, so technique is an important factor. It is actually the most important factor. You need to have technique when you're learning dance. Yes. If you're not technically sound in whatever it is that you do, whether it is Kathak or Kuchipuri or Bharatanatyam or jazz, funk, contemporary, ballet, hip hop, popping, locking, you name it. If you're learning dance and your technique is not there, then it's going to be super hard for you to develop at the same pace as a person who knows technique. It's not impossible, but it's just a longer journey. Is jazz and gymnastics connected? No, but gymnasts usually use a lot of jazz in their dance routines when they're performing. When they're doing their tumbling routines, they use a lot of jazz because jazz gives them a certain edge over other people. And of course, it adds to the presentation part of their routine. So yes, jazz is highly used by gymnasts, but does it have a connection with gymnastics in general? No, it does not. It's just that gymnasts use jazz a lot in their tumbling routines. Somebody asking if the person asked allowed to speak.
Okay, let's see how we can do this. Can you give us your name, please? We're almost up for time, Mr. Sam, I think.
Yeah.
Can you type your name, whoever you are, if you want to speak?
Yeah. Can we just take this like a last question? Yeah.
This is probably the last one. Okay.
Yeah.
Anik.
Who's that?
Yes,
Anika.
you can unmute yourself.
Okay, let me find Anika. Just find Anika and unmute her. Anika Seth, I think.
Anika Seth. Yeah, Anika Seth.
Okay, Anika Seth, you're on.
Okay, hi, sir. So this is Anika, and even I'm a student of Danceworx, and I've been in Danceworx for 6 years. So obviously, you know Asher Lobo. So this is something I heard from him, that technique is it is an important factor, but it's not the most important factor, because as a dancer, I think what's more important is the feeling and, being in your own zone and everything, and just finding yourself while dancing. So that's why my question was to you, because
Oh, okay.
you're an amazing dancer. So what I wanted to know is, like, in your way, do you think technique is the most important? Because honestly speaking, I just started focusing on my technique. So, and I started just taking dance professionally recently. So that was my question for you, because
See,
yeah.
it sounds a lot different when you're speaking it than when you write it. So, of course, yeah. I mean, as a dancer, you need to find your own distinct way of moving, and so, of course, before you get into learning technique, you first need to enjoy what you're doing. So, of course, that aspect of dance is perfect. Even we as educators, we tell all of our students when they come into the studio that, hey, when we play music, first focus on dancing, and then you can develop your technique. So yes, I mean, you hold the ear from here, or from here, it's
Yes.
the same thing. Ultimately, whether you go from enjoying your dance to learning technique, or you straight away come into the class and focus on technique, it's the same thing for me. But of course, if the fun aspect of dance goes away from your training when you're focusing on your technique, then I think you're losing out on the whole idea of being in a dance class in the first place. So if you're coming to a dance class and you're not enjoying yourself, then there's a big disconnect. So of course, yes, in Ashley's words, in that case, definitely then first needs to be a connect between dance and you, and then you can focus on technique. But does it negate the idea that it's the most important thing? No, it's not. It's still one of the most important things that you could do, but you cannot lose out on the innocence of you being a dancer and the fact that you fell in love with it. So you can't lose that innocence. You got to hold on to it, but at the same time, you got to keep continuing to develop your technique. Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if I may add, as a musician, I started drumming because I enjoyed it, And for the first 20 years, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea about the techniques, the formal terms and names and all that. But somehow consciously and through experience and spending time with people, I developed things. Only much later did I, of course, learn a lot of formal material and techniques, and also I was given names for stuff that I was already doing. No, but the point is, if I wasn't enjoying it, if I wasn't loving what I was doing, I've lasted all these years doing what I was doing. So I didn't learn it for the sake of technique or rigor or whatever thing. It was purely fun, and that's what performing arts is supposed to do, isn't it? It's about love and fun and friendship and joy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Absolutely,
as an
absolutely.
artist.
Just to add with you, sir, even with me also, it just happened like the same. The desire came in from the inside. It was not like, that, okay, that person's dancing, no, let's just dance. No, it was like, that I want to dance because I am enjoying in this. And the technique part, everything came on later on. And then it grew up and all.
Yeah.
So that was the thing.
You need to love what you're doing in order for you
Yeah,
to continue.
absolutely.
That's the crux of it.
Yes.
Love it, and you will automatically learn your technique because you'll understand that it'll only help you become better. So yes.
Yeah, great answers, great questions. Well, last one, is ballet the most difficult dance form?
No.
Even
Dance form is difficult in its own way. It depends from person to person. Some people find ballet as the easiest thing because they are naturally so talented, and some people find it very difficult. Some people find jazz very fun and like a fun way of learning dance, and some people get caught up in the coordination aspect of it, and then they find it very difficult. So it depends on what's your calling as a dancer. But if you're asking if ballet is technically a little challenging, yeah, that is true. That ballet is challenging, but is it the most difficult? That depends from each person to person to person. The perspective is different.
yeah. So that's that for question and answer session. I give the rest of the time to
Yes.
Mr. Sam.
Yeah, I
Yes,
think
thank
if
you.
there are more questions, then we can just note it down and then we can, send it to the Tushar sir, and most probably he can answer back. Yeah. If there are more questions coming up, yeah. I think we are above time also, so we have come to the end. A big thanks once again to Tushar sir for conducting this thing. Very, very informative. Some of the things were new for me, and I think this is the way we learn. This is the way we exchange knowledge, and this is the way our like we broaden our own space with these small little inputs and all. Yeah. So once again, thank you, sir. A big thank you to Emmanuel, Sai, and Along sir for handling the whole webinar at the back end. Yeah. A big thank you to Lanu sir for guiding us and for helping us all the time. To the school for giving us resources and giving us this platform to hold such a beautiful event and to bring such lovely people from outside, and our students can benefit from them. Yeah. Last not least, all the students, all the attendees, artists, educators, thank you. I believe and I hope this helped you, and it will help you in future also. Whatever you are learning, whichever the art form which you are learning, I think you will grow more in that, and it will become more meaningful to you in future. Thank you. And over here, I think we can end this thing. Yeah. Thank you,
so much, sir, Emmanuel sir, and thank you so much, Sam sir, for getting in touch with me and meeting me here. I had an absolute blast. Of course, it's a new thing, but I just hope people got something out of it. I do read Muskan, your message, and Anika. Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and it was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, children. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
God bless. Have a nice day.